Afternoon, everyone. Going kind of crazy today here on the WTP Sports Dudes channels. Got a little bit of NASCAR talk. We just had a earlier stream regarding some other topics. If you want to go check that out, you can check that across any of our channels that are scrolling at the bottom. Be sure you like and subscribe to all of them. Hit the notification bell, stuff like that, and helps us out a lot. Just get some more views on stuff we like to talk about, and don't ever hesitate to be drop some comments to us. We'll answer anything we see. We're going to jump on today with some of our NASCAR preview. We the weekend's here. I normally like to do this before the races start, but I also want to get the qualifying done so that we have a better idea of who's starting where when the Cup Series rolls around on Sundays. So with that being said, we'll jump right into the Truck Series first. We got quite a bit to discuss on the Cup Series, so we'll definitely do them last. The Truck Series kicks off here about an hour and a half is when they're supposed to start racing. Weather permitting. I know there's been some weather down in the Atlanta, Georgia area. The racetrack is just outside of Atlanta. So we'll see what happens with that. Right now, it seems like everything's on pace to get started on time, which is good because we have a doubleheader today down there. Was supposed to be qualifying. We'll get into more of that here in a little bit. But yesterday, the Truck Series qualified, and your pole sitter is going to be Jake Garcia. I'm just going to run through the top 10 in the first two series. So we're going to go Jake Garcia with Ben Rhodes on the outside. Kyle Busch, Cup Series driver, dropping down to make a run in this series. Tyler Ankrum, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another Cup Series driver, dropped down to make a run in this. Cole Butcher, who is up-and-coming young kid, really, really super talented, drives for Thor Sport Racing. Ty Majeski, my favorite driver in the Truck Series, also drives for Thor Sport. Adam Andretti, I'm 99.9% positive that's one of the long line of Andretti families. I'd have to look up his exact relation. It might be John Andretti's son. Not 100% sure. I'll have to look that up. And Andres Perez de Lara, who was a really good driver down in the NASCAR Mexico Series and has moved up to the Truck Series. Really super talented. Like to see the guys coming from other countries. This isn't just a one-off for him. He's actually raced. He races quite a few. I'm not sure he does them all, but he races at least a few of them. So good to see stuff like that happening. I had mentioned Jay Garcia and Ben Rhodes. They both drive for Thor Sport also. And for all of y'all based in Ohio or anybody that's up around there, Thor Sport is actually based in Sandusky, Ohio. Really cool race shop. Haven't had the option, believe it or not, to make it up there yet. Would love to go up there and tour the race shop. I'm saying that out loud because my wife's back there on the couch and I'm hoping she's hearing me. If not, maybe I'll force her to watch the replay. So yeah, those are your tops there. You got to watch the Thor Sport trucks at these drafting style tracks. They always seem to be in the mix. Kyle Busch is somebody I'm really watching in this. He's just phenomenal. Kyle Busch is a great race driver. He's actually the all-time winningest driver in NASCAR. Not just Cup Series. That's Cup Series, the O'Reilly Series, and the Truck Series. He's got more wins than anybody in the history of NASCAR. So that's a little skewed because people like your Richard Petty's, they didn't have the option to run the Truck Series back then. So, and there wasn't as many races either, but needless to say, still pretty phenomenal. So, my pick for the races is going to come down to one of the Thor Sport trucks, probably Ty Majeski or Kyle Busch. One that I'm really interested in is he's starting in the 20th position, and last year he dominated the Truck Series. Was Corey Heim. He won 12 races and the championship. 12 races is almost half, if not more than half, of the races in the Truck Series schedule. So keep an eye on Corey Hines driving the number. What truck did I say? The number. He's driving the number 1 truck. He used to drive the 11, but now he drives the 1. So that's kind of who I'm looking for in the truck series. Jumping over to the O'Reilly Auto Parts series, which will kick off at 5 p.m. Again, these times are all Eastern, and they're based on as long as the weather cooperates. If the truck series is pushed back, then of course, the O'Reilly series. The good thing is Echo Park Speedway has lights, so they can race into the night if need be. So we'll have to see what happens there. The O'Reilly series is a good series. I wish it was a little more spread out with manufacturers. There's only 2 Fords in the entire O'Reilly Auto Parts series. It kind of makes it rough if you're a Ford fan. But I do have a few people that I root for that aren't in Fords in this series, just because, they used to be Fords. The Haas Factory team with Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed, they were Fords and they switched to Chevy this year. They're really good on these tracks, along with the JR Motorsports cars, Joe Gibbs Racing. They're all there's a lot of dominance. This series is run by Chevrolet and Toyota. Ford used to be in the mix, won the championship a couple years ago, but that team has now switched to Chevrolet. I really like Carson Kvapil. Before I get into a little bit more on who I'm looking at, run through the top 10 real quick. You got Sam Mayer, Carson Kvapil, Taylor Gray, Sheldon Creed, William Sawalich are your top 5. Raja Caruth, Giovanni Ruggiero, Sammy Smith, Corey Day, and Jesse Love are your top 10. The one name I'm trying to find there is he starts in the 20th position is Austin Hill. He dominates these drafting style tracks. So don't be surprised to see Austin Hill come from 20th to the front near the end of the race. Just super good on these tracks. So you definitely want to keep an eye out for him and Jesse Love. They're both same teammates. But the one I'm watching Sheldon Creed. And I don't know if I'm really watching him or if I'm just pulling for the kid. He has the most second place finishes without having a win than anybody in the history of NASCAR. This poor kid is second place. He's runner-up Sheldon is what they called him. I just want the kid to get a win. He's a great guy. The luck of the draw. It just something always bites him. He'll be in so really pulling for that kid. Also am kind of biased rooting for Carson Kvapil, the number 1 car, mainly because I mentioned it last week. His crew chief was Kevin Harvick, my former favorite driver before he retired, crew chief Rodney Childers. And I love Rodney. Rodney is one of the greatest crew chiefs to ever grace NASCAR. So I'm kind of secretly rooting for Carson Kvapil. But you got to watch out for, like I said, you got to watch Austin Hill, Jesse Love, the Haas Factory teams with Mayer and Creed. These drafting style tracks is a lot about teammates and who's going to help who. So you got a little more room there to play with when you've got teammates up near the front. And this is a lot of Haas Factory, JR Motorsports, Joe Gibbs Racing. Those are your big ones up front. Richard Childress has got Jesse Love. So, and you never count out any Hendrick cars. So that's what I'm kind of looking for with the O'Reilly series. We'll jump into Cup Series qualifying was this morning at 11 a.m. However, due to the rain, qualifying was canceled. So what NASCAR does in that case is they set the starting lineup based on a metric that they have. And the metric is 30% of the points the owner has for the team. And 70% is race finish, previous race. pretty much what you're going to see in the second race of the season is take the finishing order from Daytona and just, post it. And that's going to be the start. The winner's going to be first, second, third, all the way down. So pretty much how it came out. So with that in play, pretty much your lineup, and I'll run through the whole lineup with the Cup Series because they're the big boys and they deserve it. So you're pretty much going to go Tyler Reddick. There are a few tweaks, by the way, because Logano finished third, but he's on the outside of the pole on the second starting position, ahead of Ricky Stenhouse, who finished second. It's an owner's points thing too, so there's not just finishing position flopped. So this may not be the exact order of finish from Daytona, but it's real close. Like Josh Berry is starting 10th, but he finished Daytona 9th. Bubba Wallace is starting 9th, but he finished 10th. So just take that for how the rule book plays out and how it sets it. So with that said, you're going to go, we'll actually start from 38 forward. 36 cars are charter teams, and so they're all going to start. And then you've got a couple of open cars. J.J. Yaley, B.J. McLeod, that's 38 and 37th. 36th is Alex Bowman, which is a Cup Series regular, of course, which is not a good starting position in Atlanta. But he's in a Hendrick car, so he's got the ability to make it up. So 35 is Todd Gilliland, Chase Briscoe, Austin Dillon, which will change, be Christopher Bell, Connor Zilich, and Austin Cindric is number 30. Again, there's some big hitters at the back of the pack. Chase Briscoe, Christopher Bell, even Austin Cindric on these drafting style tracks based on Daytona and getting caught up in incidents early in the race. Your 29th place starter, Denny Hamlin. Then Shane Van Gisbergen, Cole Custer, Ryan Preece, Ty Gibbs rounds out 25th position. Again, Hamlin, Preece, Gibbs, 25, and that's low. 24, we're going to go John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones, Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, and Michael McDowell. Ryan Blaney, 22nd again. Another big name coming from the back who's really good at this style track. 19, AJ Allmendinger, Cody Ware, 18. Pretty impressive to see Cody Ware starting that high forward, to be honest. Normally, the only time Cody Ware starts that high is when qualifying is rained out after a drafting style track or a super speedway race, because he normally finishes really well in those races. So good to see for Cody Ware, for a family-owned team, him and his dad. So really like to see him starting high. Hope he can keep up the early streak. Ty Dillon, 17. Kyle Larson is 16th. Carson Hocevar is 15th. Running into the top 14 now. Kyle Busch, William Byron, Daniel Suarez, Noah Gragson, and Josh Berry, I mentioned earlier, starting 10th. 9th is Bubba Wallace, followed by Riley Herbst, Chris Buescher, Zane Smith, and Brad Keselowski as rounds up your 5. In positions 4 through 1 is Chase Elliott, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Joey Logano, and Tyler Reddick. So Ford normally dominates this draft, the qualifying for these tracks, and there's still a lot of Fords up near the front based on the finishes of last week. There's some surprises in the top 15 to 20 at least. Zane Smith, Riley Herbst, Noah Gragson, Ty Dillon, Cody Ware, all those in the top 18 are really good to see for NASCAR. It just kind of means it's spread out more now. Granted, it has only been one race, so don't take too much stock into that right there. But it's good to see some new faces up near the front a little bit. We did have penalties before qualifying even started. Now the number 3 car is already into the race, no matter how they're chartered, so they're in. Now the 78 team is an open team, so they have to pass inspection and then qualify. But because it got rained out, they got put in, because as long as they passed inspection. If they wouldn't have passed inspection, then they wouldn't have been allowed to qualify and they'd have been sent home. But they're in the starting lineup, so they must have passed inspection. Now, what do these penalties mean? So, and I don't have specifics on what the exact penalties were, just that there were multiple penalties for failing pre-race inspection on Friday night. So both teams loses their car chiefs, Ryan Chisholm and Ryan Henderson, respectively. Ryan Chisholm's for the number 3 car. The car chief isn't the crew chief who sits on the pit box. He's actually more of an engineer. And a lot of times they just go back to the race shop and stay in contact from the race shop. So it's not like it's crazy, but they don't have those people there. They also don't get to keep their pit selection, which NASCAR, you get to choose your pit box based on your qualifying order. So they lose that, which when you're starting that low in the field anyway, you're not going to have a great pit selection anyway, but you do lose it. So anybody that was behind you now can leapfrog you to even what might be the 9th or 10th or 12th best pit box. You're just going to have to take what's available, which it affects you with. You don't get the choice of a clean entry to your pit box where there's nobody behind you, or you can't choose a pit box that has a break in front of it so you have an easy out. You're kind of going to be sandwiched in between cars, which under, cautions and things can make pit stops a lot more crazy, trying to get around a car, get in front of a car. So it can always change things up a little bit. So that's where we're at with the penalties that came out this morning. Well, last night, I guess. So we'll jump into the preview, and we've already gone through how qualifying and where they're starting. At Echo Park has been called Daytona on steroids. Same style racing, drafting track, cars all in a pack, except you're dropping a mile of length off the track. You're going from a 2.5 mile track to a 1.5 miles. Super fast speeds, one of my favorite racetracks on the circuit. It's tight racing, chaotic, crashes, bumps, bruised egos, you name it. This track changed a few years ago. This used to be the Harvick track. They even, like I said, nicknamed Harvicking, became a trending topic on Twitter in the 2018 year when he was just crushing everybody at this race. It was crazy the way he did things. Kind of hard to pick these races because, again, they're the drafting style tracks. But your team's kind of the same people you leaned on with Daytona. Your Logano's, even though he's starting in the back, Blaney, William Byron, Larson, Logano, Blaney, Cindric, Josh Berry does pretty good at these tracks as long as he can stay out of trouble. Your Reddick obviously won the Daytona 500. Bubba Wallace has become really good at these drafting style tracks. So it's kind of a who's who, and it's just kind of who can avoid the chaos. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another one who's really good at these tracks. Cody Ware, starting in 18th, is a big plus for that guy. He could actually, do something and get up another top 10, top 5. But I think if you're looking for people with teammates around them to help, and 2311 is right there with 3 of them in the top 10. RFK Racing has 2. Front Row Motorsports has 2. The Wood Brothers is pretty much a Team Penske car, so there's 2 there. And then the other 2, Cindric and Blaney, are in the back, but they could work together to push their way to the front to catch up with their teammates. So I'm not looking for a repeat winner with Tyler Reddick going back to back, but you got to watch the Penske squad, some of the Fords. You got to watch Daniel Suarez. Kyle Busch is in this mix. You got to watch all these guys coming from the back. Chris Buescher is another one who's kind of a sleepy pick to me, but that's what I'd watch for. Watch to see who can come from the back and avoid all the chaos and the destruction and the crashes, and who can kind of snake their way through the field and put themselves in position. It's like Daytona. You can't win the race on the first lap, but you can lose it on the first lap. So you've got to be around at the end of the race, or else, you don't have a chance to win anyway. So missing all the chaos and stuff is going to be super important, and who can navigate that. And obviously by staying up front, you have less options to be mired in a crash. So we'll jump into our fantasy version of the show. And I'm going to do my typical share screen. We'll go to the NASCAR Fantasy Hub. So here we go. You can see I told you don't try to win points and money based off my fantasy picks, because it's just especially Daytona. I'm sitting in 52nd place in my fantasy group right now, which doesn't sound like a lot until you realize that only 52 people made a roster. So actually, I think 53. I think I'm beating one person. So for this week, I'm going to remove Chase Briscoe, and I got to watch your usage here. You only get 10 races in the regular season. So I'm going to throw Logano in here because I haven't used him yet. Kyle Busch, I'm going to leave him. Even though I've already used him once, I'm going to take a shot with him because there's some tracks coming up that I won't use him in. Josh Berry, I'm going to let him ride again. Again, there's a couple of road courses coming up in the season that I won't use Berry in, so I can afford a second use of him right now. Ryan Preece, kind of same style. I'm going to let him ride here. Connor Zilic, I'm going to go ahead and move out, and I'm going to throw Chase Elliott in. Elliott has won this race before, and I haven't used Blaney yet. He was in my garage last week, but I'm going to go ahead and pull him out because I like other tracks better for him coming up, even though he is good on these. And I'm actually going to throw Bubba Wallace in my garage. And this will get you 10 points for setting your lineup. And then you'll get 10 points for each of these. So you have the option to earn 50 points to your fan rewards. I'm going to go Chase Elliott for the matchup with Tyler Reddick. This one is a little tougher. Brad does well here, but Riley Herbst is a young upcoming, and he's really good. But I'm going to stick with the crafty veteran who has also won in Atlanta at this style track before. Definitely going to take Chris Buescher. I think Carson Hocevar is good, but Carson Hocevar is way a little aggressive for the style of racing still and puts himself in positions he should not be in and gets involved in stuff. And over here, Michael McDowell's really good at these type races. I'm going to go with the youngster, Zane Smith. You can see my roster is set. You can always come down here before you do it too and back it up here. You can go to hot picks. See Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, won 2 of the last 6 races here, 6 top 10s in the last 7. I'm just holding off on Blaney for later usage. You wouldn't be crazy to use him, that's for sure. Kyle Larson, I thought he's just not really super on these tracks, but he's getting better at these drafting style tracks. Carson Hocevar is the sleeper, but again, I think he's too aggressive for this style of track. He just puts himself in crazy positions sometimes, and I think he still needs to tone back the aggressiveness on this style racing a little bit. Ricky Stenhouse, I mentioned him. He's good on these style tracks too. So those are kind of some things that can help you set your roster. I'm going with mine. If you look up here, at the 77 points, you'd realize I probably don't really know what I'm talking about. So you might want to follow these people down here a little bit better. Fantasy is so hard in this because all it takes is somebody else's mistake. Carson Hocevar could make a mistake, and all of a sudden Kyle Busch, Josh Berry, and Joey Logano are wrecked and out of the race, and now you've got only 2 people left in the race. So it's just hard to predict that. We'll jump back over to the Fantasy Hub now that roster's set. Maybe. There it goes. And we'll go to our 36 for 36, kind of one of those streak things. Last week, if you remember, I took Cody Ware because he's not one of the better drivers in the series, but he's decent at those tracks, and he got me 20 points, which is more than I would have expected from him. This week, again, you can only pick one car. 36 cars, 36 races. So, if you had a bad one and you picked like a Alex Bowman last week and you got like 1 point or something, or Chase Briscoe, you really want to make a solid decision here. I'm sitting with 20. I'm going to kind of take a little bit of a flyer on this one and find me somebody that might get me some points because they're good at this track, but they might not. So I'm going to go ahead and take Ricky Stenhouse Jr. right here, not Carson Hocevar. Ricky Stenhouse. I remember the buttons are at the top, not the bottom. So I'm going to take Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for this, and it'll show you the upcoming tracks too. Like this is a road course, Phoenix, Las Vegas. It'll tell you what's coming up. So that's what I'm going to go with is Ricky Stenhouse on my 36 for 36. Jumping back over here. Really all we got this week. Going to keep an eye on the weather down there in Atlanta. It looks, like I said, it looks like we're good. It looks like they've got maybe a little rain coming at 1 o'clock if it sticks around. So the truck series could get pushed back. Remember, you can, if you have your NASCAR Fan Rewards app, you can go into it, and when you just go to NASCAR.com, actually, it'll pop up at the bottom on your mobile app, and you can click live and then hit check in, and you get, I'm sitting at 732 points. But when the race is ready, 30 minutes before the start of the race, the check-in button pops up, and you click that and you get your 50 points right there. So by the end of this weekend, with setting my fantasy team and all that, I should be about 900 points. So I'm like pretty much 1/5 away from 2 free race tickets. So, and then my wife, I think her account will be close to like 750, but I have the premium account. So that's one reason why I have more points. But you're looking at, we'll have the ability, if we wanted, we'd probably have the ability to get 8 free tickets, 2 tickets to 4 races if we wanted to next year for free. So again, if you want more info on that, you can definitely drop your comments to me. You can go back and watch my previous NASCAR for Beginners series, and we'll roll through it from that. Other than that, I'm going to jump off and go see if we're going to get this race started and get ready for a good day of racing. Got some good college basketball going on today, too, if that's your thing. The the Truck Series race will be on FS1 or the Fox Sports app. You can find it. If you have Sirius XM radio, you can find it on channel 90. Or if you're driving down the road, maybe you're a truck driver that's caught this, and you can find PRN, Performance Racing Network. They're going to be broadcasting it if you can find an outlet where you're near. The O'Reilly series is going to be on the CW network. Again, that'll be broadcast on channel 90 on Sirius XM, and PRN will have the broadcast on the radio. And then tomorrow, you've got your Cup Series, which is going to be, I need to look at that real quick. I need to see, because I don't know if the Cup Series is going to be on Fox or if they've moved it to FS1. Let me look before I tell you. I think it's Fox. Yeah, it's on Fox. So that's the problem with the Cup Series, is it bounces around to about 6 different people, but it's on Fox, FS1, the first half of the season. And then it starts jumping between Amazon Prime and TNT and USA and NBC, and it becomes kind of crazy to keep up with. But we'll keep you. I'll let you know where it is every week. Of course, you can always not only catch it on Fox, but you will be able to also let me go through this. Okay, so Craftsman Truck Series FS1. Fox 1 TV broadcast, NASCAR radio, I told you that. Satellite radio, told you that. Cup Series is You can watch it on Fox, of course. Fox 1 TV broadcast. Don't know exactly what that is. I guess that's maybe just the regular Fox. If you have HBO Max, you can go on to HBO Max, and they actually have driver cameras in the car. So you can watch what different drivers are seeing and stuff. Again, if they have the radio audio, please be careful if you have children and you don't want them hearing words that they shouldn't probably be repeating, because you'll probably hear a few. Remember, these are grown adults in a sporting event, so they're talking back and forth to themselves. It's not meant for outside sources, but they're generous enough to let us listen. So please, if you hear bad words, don't start losing your mind and throwing a fit. It could happen. Not saying it will, but it could. PRN radio again and Sirius XM on channel 90. We'll show you everything. You can hear everything you want there. And then if you're interested too, you also have press pass at 12:30 on, and then post race press pass for the NASCAR race, which is pretty much normally you can find those on YouTube on the NASCAR channel. So that's where we're at for this weekend. Really looking forward to this weekend. Like I said, I love Atlanta the artist formerly known as Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is now Echo Park. It's one of my favorites. So hope y'all enjoy your Saturday and your Sunday even, and we'll talk again. We'll be breaking down Atlanta come Monday evening, and we'll start preparing for COTA probably Wednesday of next week and get it going. Other than that, y'all have a good afternoon, and we'll talk later.